To install the connector on your Allegro A1A, you'll need a pair of vice grips, a combination wrench, an Allen wrench, and a rag. Hi, my name is Kayleen, and I'm here in the BB Garage to show you how to put a connector on an Allegro 1A. So this applies for all Allegros with the serial number 36396 and below. So these are a little bit older. It applies to reformers, so Allegro 1As with legs or without, like you see here, and with risers or with tower. So that will all be included in this video. All right, so we're gonna start by showing you how to put the components on the carriage, then over here on the risers and tower, and then we'll talk a little bit about how to get started using the connector. Okay, so first I'm going to take off the old ropes. Now, these old ropes, we won't need them for the connector, but I like to save them just in case. Okay, so I'm just going to take them out. Whoops. And put them off to the side. We will take the shoulder rests off as well. So while we're here, let's actually switch out the shoulder rest posts, okay? So we do need to have new posts for the connector. And our new posts have some flanges on the top so that when the straps are on the posts, they don't slide off, okay? So our new posts look like this, okay? And the old posts should just untwist, lefty-loosey. Now, sometimes you can get it loose with your hand, like I just did here, okay? And I've got my finger on the underside of the bolt, so or the bolt head here. And you can also use a flathead screwdriver if you need to tighten this bolt a little bit, okay? And I'll take the new shoulder post and go righty-tighty to tighten it. A good tighten with your hand is fine. Now, if you've got some really stubborn shoulder posts, I recommend using some vice grips, okay? You also need a rag to do this. So I'm going to put the rag around the post to protect the surface from the teeth of the vice grips. And then I'm going to use the grips to clamp down on the rag around the post. Now, I'm a little bit high here. I'm actually going to readjust the vice grips to go lower. Okay, because if you have a very stubborn post, we want to twist from the bottom, not from the top. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go lefty-loosey, and this one came right off. Sometimes it'll be a little bit harder, so just be sure you don't yank too hard and break the bolt, okay? If that happens, you can call up your distributor or the Balance Body tech support. Okay, we've got our shoulder rests and posts all taken care of. I'm just going to put them off to the side for now. And we're ready to put the bracket on underneath this carriage. Now, before we do that, I just want to note, probably want to put these with your ropes. Save them just in case you need them later. Okay. So to mount the undercarriage hardware with the pulleys, we need to remove 4 bolts from the shoulder rest brackets that are here. So there are actually 6 bolts that are showing, but we want to take 2 on each side that are closest to the risers. Okay, so I'm going to grab an Allen wrench and my combination wrench. And I've got my little bag of hardware here. So there's a nut on the back side, so I'm going to take my combination wrench to the back and then use the Allen wrench to loosen the bolt. Okay. We need to save the nut. Okay. The bolt can be put aside. Now I'm going to flip the reformer on its side because it doesn't have any legs, and this way we can work underneath much easier. But if you have a reformer with legs, you may not need to do that. You probably could just crawl underneath. Okay, I'm going to stick these quick release pins in the correct hole here because we'll need to be able to see them from the back side. Okay, and I'm saving these nuts. All right. Okay. In your bag of hardware, there should be 4 new black bolts, and they have flat heads. Those are going to go in the holes that we just removed bolts from. So now we should have 3 things protruding underneath the carriage here. We're going to take your bracket with the pulley on it and fit it over those 3 protruding studs. Okay? Make sure that the pulley faces towards the risers. There we go. Everything's on. And now I'm going to use 2 of my nuts that I saved and secure them on the 2 threaded bolts. Okay, and I've got my tools. Because they're nylock, we will need tools to tighten these all the way down. Okay. Now let's do the same thing on the other bracket. I'm going to take my 2 bolts, slide them through these 2 holes. So now I've got the 2 bolts and the pin sticking through, and we fit the bracket on over. Okay. Okay, our brackets are all secured to underneath the carriage. Now, if you have legs on your machine, we can move on. But if you have a flat reformer, I'm actually going to add spacers between the feet and the frame just to give the frame a 1/4 inch or so more height for some room so that the hardware doesn't hit the floor when it's in use. Okay? So you should have some black spacers that look like these. Okay, so they look something like this. And we're going to unscrew each of the feet, put the spacer on the threaded stud, and then screw the feet back in. Let's flip the reformer back over, put the shoulder rests on, and move up to the head end of the frame. At the head end of the frame, we're going to not only replace the risers or add some more pulleys to your tower, but we need to install a bracket on the bottom here that will have 2 pulleys on it. So that's what we're going to do right now. To install our lower pulleys, we need to use this piece. Okay, this is a long metal bracket. And it's going to sit right inside the lip of the rail here. Now it's got a little bit of side-to-side wiggle here, so just find a spot that eyeball looks centered. Okay. Now these pulleys with the bracket are going to mount just like this. Okay, but we need a set of hardware to do that. So I'm going to pull this hardware out. So we first need a screw with a washer on it. And then we'll have to use this plastic sort of half washer. Okay. And then we'll need another washer and a nut. So all that stuff is going to go through these 2 brackets here. Okay. Take your bolt with the washer on it and slide it through the hole in the pulley bracket and then also the rail bracket. Now your plastic half washer is going to go right between those 2 black brackets. And I'm just going to hold them fairly close as I put this in so that the washer doesn't fall off. Okay? That's just going to act as a spacer. Now on the back side, I put a washer and then the nut. Okay? I'll finger tighten first and then come back and tighten with my Allen wrench and combination wrench. I'm just checking to make sure that my bracket still looks relatively centered on the frame. Okay. Now I'll do the same thing on the other side here. We again have a bolt with a washer. It goes through both of these brackets. Holding the brackets relatively still, I'll slide this half moon spacer, whoops, between them. See, I didn't hold them close enough and it fell. So I'm just going to retry. Okay. go. And then on the back here, I need a washer and a nut. Okay, now we are ready to move on to the risers or the tower. So if you have a tower, you're going to skip ahead a little bit. I'm going to show you right now how to switch the risers out. It's very easy. You're going to take the pins out of the back, remove the old risers, and then slide your new risers in the old holes and put the pins in the back. Now we're ready to thread the ropes. If your Allegro 1A has a tower, this is how you're going to change out your pulleys on the tower. Okay, so they are attached with a knob, so let's unscrew the knob. Okay, and we can put our pulley assembly away, and we're going to reuse this knob. Now in your kit you should have a plastic washer that looks like this and some pulleys that look like this. Okay, so we're going to reinsert the knob through the tower, then put the washer on, and then screw the knob into this pulley block. Okay, now the pulley, sorry, I have the wrong one. How do I know it's the right one? You can see that this washer is rectangular, so there's a thicker portion at the bottom. So I'm going to line that up with this other pulley block. Okay, so now the pulley facing the carriage is slightly lower than the pulley on the inside. Okay. Well, I'll just hand tighten that. So now we've got two pulleys on this side. I will repeat this same process on the other side of the tower, making sure that both of these pulley assemblies are at the same height. All right, now we're ready to put the ropes on. To thread the ropes, we need our 4 straps. 2 of them, they should be the black ones, have pulleys attached. And you need your rope. Okay, so I'm just going to take one end of the rope and toss the rest here in the middle. And then I thread the rope through the 2 pulleys underneath the carriage. Now when I pull the end of the rope out, we should have 2 ends of the rope, just like this. Okay, now just focus on one side to start. We're going to take the rope, thread it through the bottom pulley, and then take it up through the top pulley that's on the inside of the riser. Or if you have a tower, it's the one closest to the middle here. Then we come back to the carriage. And this point, we're going to thread the rope through one of these pulleys. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I can actually put the loop on the shoulder rest. That's fine. Then we go back to the risers, thread through the outer pulley, and then we come over, and these are going to go together, but I'll do that in a second. So I'm just going to loop that over the post. Okay. Then we'll go to the other side here. We first go down through the bottom pulley, then up to the middle riser, the middle pulley. Then we go through the pulley on the black loop, and then back towards the riser or the tower and through the outer pulley here. Okay, so you'll see that this isn't reaching all the way to the carriage, so I'm just going to move my loops so that they're a little bit closer here. Okay, now to secure your gray loops to the rope, we're going to use a soft touch connection, which you may recognize from other reformer configurations. So to start, I'm going to take the rope and put it through the metal D-ring. And then I'll take the loop and put it through the end of the rope here. And I slide this rope all the way down the loop and pull it tight here. Okay? So I'll do the same thing on the other side. Rope goes through the D-ring, loop goes through the rope, and then the rope goes all the way down the length to the metal D-ring. We pull it tight. Okay. Okay, so now the connector is fully installed. I want to talk to you about a couple of things that are going to be really important as you start working with your connector. So the first thing is, anytime you aren't using a set of these straps, they should be secure on the posts. Okay? For example, if you're using your black loops, you can't just leave your gray loops on the floor. They have to be secured to the post. Okay? Now, the second thing is the difference between the gray loops and the black loops. The gray loops tend to be about half of the regular weight you're familiar with. Okay? So, and they often go in your hands for many exercises. If you want more of a normal weighted feel, you use the black loops and put the gray loops on the posts. Okay? Now, these loops are called tri-loops, and they're really awesome because these stripes here, the gray has them as well as those black ones. It's just a loop that folds out to give a little bit of ankle support or wrist support. Okay? And then when you're done with it, they just fold back out of the way really easily like that. Fantastic loops. These gray loops also have a Velcro that wraps around, and this is just so if you have people with very petite feet, it gives them a little bit of a tighter fit so that the loops don't feel like they're going to fall off. All right? Now the last thing I want to talk about is if you want to, during a session, quickly revert to some exercise where you need the ropes to be more like a traditional reformer where they aren't responsive to one another, we can lock them. Okay? And the way that you lock these ropes is by pulling the rope out from underneath the carriage and looping it through the cam cleat. So now it's tight here. Okay? Do that on both sides. Then your reformer is no longer a connector reformer. It feels just like any other reformer. All right, so I think you're all ready to get going with your connector. If you have any other questions or you want more videos like this one, you can head over to pilates.com/bbgarage. I'll see you there.